impacted your life thus far?
How has honesty impacted my life thus far? That's a big one. I can think of like a million different things right now. I could start as a kid. This is gonna get pretty interesting, but as a kid, I had a weird dynamic in my family because I had two stay-at-home parents.
Right.
But somehow the bills got paid, and somehow we always had money, like enough to live. We were never like rich or anything. And then when I was about 11, I found out why my dad stayed at home all the time. He wasn't like a work at home in an office. He maybe I shouldn't say that. He was part of a trade in BC that is now legal and prevalent, but at that point in time was not exactly legal and prevalent.
Sure.
I'll say that. And then I dealt with the fact that I always thought my parents were these upstanding citizens, and then I found out at that time that they kind of lied to me about my whole childhood. So that impacted me in being over honest with certain people. So I spent a lot of time just like oversharing, as I'm doing right now. And then going from there. And then on a personal level, as a trans person, honesty has impacted my life in the fact that when I can finally be honest with myself and accept myself for who I am instead of hiding behind a shell of somebody else, I was able to finally come out and then start to do the things I wanted to do and live the life I wanted to live rather than what I felt like society's expectations were for me. Like growing up, I loved sports, but I also overplayed sports and played that hockey job kind of role in order to like hide who I was. And now that I've been able to come out and kind of express myself in other ways, it's made my life just a little easier to deal with and a little bit, I don't feel like I'm hiding behind something anymore. So being honest with myself and then being able to take that and be honest with other people has made my life just a little easier to deal with.
Do you feel like that feels like doubly as good? Because even you're talking about growing up and kind of when you had that, I guess, honesty realization from your parents, do you feel like then you being able to be authentically you with everyone, do you feel like maybe it felt even better just because you've experienced?
Yeah, I think it would definitely, like, I feel it as more, like, I guess, a release because I had to deal with that in my youth and then also coming out and dealing with it as an adult. I feel like it definitely brings more relief and joy and release to my life and to myself and just being able to so I mean I've always considered myself a fairly honest person.
Well, you were honest with us just now, so that's right.
I usually try to be as honest as I can with like that kind of thing, or even dealing with my mental health struggles. Like, because if people aren't honest about those kind of things, then other people aren't going to realize that there's a human aspect to that. Like the whole dealing with mental health disorders, if you're not honest with it, people are just going to assume whatever they see in the media is what anxiety disorders or depression disorders are, or even with the whole trans thing. If I don't come out and say that I'm that way, and that I'm just a regular human like yourself or anybody else, then people are gonna just listen to Fox News and Tucker Carlson and the whole myth that the LGBT are out to groom your kids will take force and go in a direction that it probably shouldn't.
So you feel like in general, honesty is the best policy? Like, if we were kind of looking like we're making the world better.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's one of the layers that we can start with, like honesty, best policy?
I think that's your foundation. Yeah. And I think you got to be honest. If you build a foundation that's not honest, it's gonna crumble. I went to a lot of church services when I was younger, trying to find myself, and if you're basing your foundation on lies, you're kind of like the proverb in the Bible where like the guy that built his house on the sand versus the guy that built his house on the rocks. The guy on the sand, his house tumbled when the floods came, and the other guy's house stood strong. The rocks are your honesty, and the sand is deceit and not being true to yourself and being true to what you believe and what you feel is right.
Good. At least we have people like you, so we can start to. If we're not like there now, at least we know that there are people out there we can start to build that, which is cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you and this whole project and being a part of it on both sides of the camera.
Yeah.
So.
Double duty.
Yeah,
I
double
can't
duty.
see you spread back to do it, but I will do it. Hey.